Admiral June stood alone on the observation deck of the HSS Vengeance, his weathered face reflected in the reinforced glass as he stared into the void of space. Behind him, a holographic image flickered to life. Earth as it once was. Blue, oceans, green continents, white swirling clouds, a planet teeming with life that no living human had ever set foot upon. Computer, historical accuracy check, June said quietly. Holographic reconstruction matches historical records with 99.4%. Certainty, the ship's AI responded. 500,000 years, such a vast expanse of time that the human mind struggled to comprehend it. Yet the memory of Earth's destruction remained sharp in humanity's collective consciousness, passed down through countless generations. June's hand touched the glass, fingers splayed against the cold surface. "We're home," he whispered, though nothing remained of Earth but scattered debris and dust. The Korath Imperium had been thorough in their destruction. The door slid open behind him. Commander Minji entered, her uniform crisp and perfect, her steps measured and confident. She carried a data tablet in her hands. "Admiral, final preparations are complete. All ships report ready status." June nodded but didn't turn away from the view. "Any word from our scouts? The Korath still have no indication of our presence. Their patrol patterns remain unchanged." Minji moved to stand beside him, her eyes drawn to the hologram of Earth. "It's strange to think that none of us have ever seen it, yet we've all dreamed of it. The Vengeance was the flagship of humanity's fleet, the culmination of 500,000 years of technological development, resource gathering, and patient planning. After the Korath had destroyed Earth, believing they'd eliminated humanity, as a potential rival, the survivors had fled on generation ships. Those ships became the seeds of a new human civilization, one that evolved and expanded slowly, cautiously, hidden from Korath sensors. The first generation of survivors made a promise, June said, that one day humans would return to this system, that we would face those who tried to exterminate us." Minji's tablet chimed softly. "The council is assembled and waiting, Admiral." June sighed and turned away from the view. The hologram of Earth faded behind him as they walked toward the conference room. The corridors of the Vengeance were filled with crew members going about their duties. Some nodded respectfully as the Admiral passed. Others seemed too focused on their tasks to notice. The conference room doors slid open. Around a large table sat the 12 council members who represented the major human colonies. Some attended via hologram from their ships. All rose as June entered. "Please be seated," he said, taking his place at the head of the table. "We've waited for this moment for 500,000 years. 3 days from now we make contact with the Korath Imperium." Councillor Day, a tall woman with silver streaks in her black hair, spoke first. "Our ancestors dreamed of this day. The day we would confront those who destroyed our homeworld. The Korath believe humans to be extinct," added Councillor Han. "The element of surprise is our greatest advantage." June nodded. "Our intelligence suggests the Korath have grown complacent. They dominate this sector of the galaxy, and no species has challenged them in thousands of years." The tactical display in the center of the table activated, showing the position of the human fleet relative to Korath territory. The humans had built their hidden civilization far from Korath space, gradually expanding outward through uncharted regions. "We have evolved during our exile," June continued. "Our lifespans now extend for centuries. Our technology has developed along paths the Korath never explored. We are not the same humans they thought they destroyed." Commander Minji activated her data tablet, projecting additional information onto the display. The Vengeance and its sister ships represent the most advanced technology humanity has ever produced. Our weapons systems, shields, and propulsion capabilities exceed anything in the known galaxy. A silence fell over the room as the council members contemplated what lay ahead. Generations of humans had lived and died with one purpose in mind: to return humanity to its rightful place in the galaxy and to face those who had tried to erase them from existence. 500,000 years ago, the Korath decided that humanity had no right to exist, June said finally. They feared what we might become. Now they will face what we have become. He stood and the others followed suit. "Prepare your ships, alert your crews. In 3 days we reveal ourselves to the galaxy. June's voice was steady, betraying none of the emotion he felt. Humanity has returned, and we will never be forgotten again. As the council members filed out, June returned to the observation deck for one last look at the holographic Earth. Soon the real thing would be visible through these same windows, or what remained of it. The first step toward humanity's long-awaited return was about to begin. Review your response before submitting it to ensure you've properly cited your sources if you used web search, followed the citation or instructions. In the system prompt, the human fleet materialized at the edge of Korath space, dropping out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. 50 ships, each a marvel of human engineering, now hung silently against the backdrop of unfamiliar stars. On the bridge of the Vengeance, Admiral June watched as the tactical display updated with real-time information. Stealth systems functioning at optimal levels, reported the science officer. No indication that the Korath have detected our presence. June nodded, his face betraying no emotion though his heart raced. After centuries of preparation, humans were finally in position to confront those who had destroyed Earth. He turned to Dr. Huan, who stood nearby analyzing data from the Korath monitoring stations they had hacked. What have you learned about them, Doctor? Dr. Huan was shorter than most humans, with intelligent eyes that seemed to calculate everything they saw. The Korath have changed little in 500,000 years, Admiral. They've expanded their territory. Yes, but their society remains rigid, hierarchical and oppressive. They've conquered at least 23 other species that we can identify. On the main view screen, images appeared of various alien worlds under Korath control, mining operations that scarred entire continents, orbital platforms were enslaved, species toiled. Military installations that enforced the Korath will across dozens of star systems. They've grown complacent, Dr. Huan continued. No species has successfully challenged their dominance in over 50,000 years. Their military tactics have stagnated. They believe themselves to be invincible. June's eyes narrowed. And what of Earth? Do they remember what they did? Doctor. Huan's expression darkened. They celebrated, Admiral. Every 50,000 years, they hold a grand festival called the Purging, to commemorate the destruction of what they called the human threat. The next celebration is scheduled to begin in 3 months. A tense silence fell over the bridge. Commander Minji broke it by stepping forward. Admiral, Lieutenant Su's stealth team is prepared for their mission to the Korath outpost on the 4th moon of Raxus Prime. John turned his attention to the mission briefing. Lieutenant Su was one of their best intelligence officers. Her team would infiltrate a Korath listening post to gather tactical data and, if possible, capture a high-ranking Korath official for interrogation. Proceed, June ordered. 12 hours later, Lieutenant Su's stealth ship docked with the Vengeance. The mission had been a complete success. Not only had they secured valuable intelligence about Korath fleet movements, but they had also captured Senior Commander Krell, a high-ranking member of the Korath military hierarchy. The interrogation chamber was stark and white. Commander Krell sat restrained at a metal table, his grey, ridged skin contrasting sharply. With the room, his 4 eyes blinked independently in what humans had learned was a sign of extreme stress in Korath physiology. Lieutenant Su entered with Admiral June. The Korath commander hissed at the sight of them. "What species are you?" he demanded. "Identify yourselves." "You know what we are," Su replied, her voice cool. "Your people tried to erase us from existence." Commander Krell's eyes widened, then narrowed in disbelief. "Impossible. The humans were eliminated. Their world was destroyed, their species extinguished. And yet here we stand," Admiral June said, sitting across from the alien. "While your people celebrate our destruction as a holiday, we have been preparing for this moment." The Korath commander's outer skin paled. "How? How did any of you survive?" "Your ancestors were thorough in destroying Earth," June acknowledged, "but not thorough enough in hunting down our colony ships, a mistake your current emperor will soon regret." Krell lunged against his restraints, his voice rising to a shriek. "Do you know what you've done by coming here? The Korath Imperium spans hundreds of worlds. Our fleets number in the thousands. You will be crushed just as your ancestors were." Lieutenant Sue activated a holographic display showing the territories the humans had already mapped. "Tell us about these slave worlds," she said, ignoring his outburst. "The species you've conquered, the ones who mine your resources and build your ships." Krell fell silent, his four eyes blinking in an erratic pattern. "You've made many enemies over the centuries," June said quietly. "We wonder if they might be interested in joining us." "They are property," Krell spat. "They exist to serve the Imperium. They lack the will or ability to resist." June smiled for the first time. "Just as you believed humans lacked the will or ability to return. You underestimate those you consider beneath you, Commander. A fatal flaw that runs deep in your society." He stood and walked toward the door. "Your people destroyed our world because they feared what humanity might become. 500,000 years later, you're about to discover exactly what we have become." As the door closed behind Admiral June, Commander Krell stared at Lieutenant Sue with all four eyes. For the first time in his long life, a Korath commander felt something his species had not experienced in millennia: genuine fear. Admiral June stood before the fleet's war council, his decision already made. The gathered officers and representatives watched him in silence, waiting for his next command. The holographic display showed the position of every human ship against the vast expanse of Korath territory. "Our ancestors waited 500,000 years for revenge," June said, his voice filling the chamber. "They can wait a little longer." Murmurs spread through the room. Commander Minji stepped forward. "Admiral?" "The Korath believe themselves gods," June continued. "They rule through fear and oppression, but gods should not fear their creations." He gestured to the display, highlighting dozens of worlds. "These planets contain enslaved species. Before we strike at the heart of the Imperium, we will free its victims." Not everyone agreed with this strategy. Some argued for immediate attacks on key Korath military installations. Others worried about losing the element of surprise. But Admiral June's decision was final. Humanity would not simply seek revenge, they would build allies. The first species they contacted were the Lith, beings with translucent skin that glowed within a light. Enslaved for over 30,000 years, the Lith possessed natural telepathic abilities that the Korath exploited as living communication networks. Captain Yuna led the mission to the Lith homeworld, a gas giant's moon where the atmosphere glowed perpetually with aurora-like phenomena. Her team disabled the orbital monitoring stations and made contact with the Lith resistance fighters hiding in the deep caves. The leader of the Lith resistance was named Tael. When he first saw the humans, his skin pulsed with colors of disbelief. "We believed no species could stand against the Korath," Tael said. His thoughts transmitted directly into the minds of Yuna and her team. "All who try are crushed. How have you remained hidden from them?" "Our world was the first the Korath destroyed," Yuna explained. "They believed they eliminated us entirely. They were wrong." Tael's skin shifted to a deep blue of sadness. "The Korath speak of this. They call it the Great Purging and celebrate it as the beginning of their unchallenged rule." "How many other species suffer under Korath control?" Yuna asked. "Dozens," Tael replied. "Some fight in secret as we do. Others have forgotten what freedom means. Through our telepathic network we can reach them all if we dare." And so the first alliance was formed. The Lith used their telepathic abilities to contact other enslaved species, spreading word that a force had returned from extinction to challenge the Korath. Some were skeptical, others were hopeful. All were desperate for change. Meanwhile, intelligence. Officer Tayek led a dangerous mission to infiltrate the Korath homeworld itself. Disguised using advanced camouflage technology, his team penetrated the Imperial archives, a vast repository of Korath history and knowledge. What they discovered shocked even the most hardened among them. Ancient records revealed why the Korath had feared humanity so deeply. Early human explorers, thousands of years before Earth's destruction, had encountered Korath scouts. Those encounters had revealed humanity's unique adaptability, creativity, and resilience, traits the rigid hierarchical Korath saw as chaotic and threatening. "They feared us because we represented change," Tyke reported back to Admiral June. "The Korath believe in fixed order, in unchanging hierarchy. Humans adapted too quickly, learned too readily. They saw our potential and decided we could not be allowed to reach it. As this information spread through the human fleet, their resolve strengthened. They were not simply seeking revenge for a destroyed homeworld. They were fighting against an ideology that feared change, growth, and freedom. Within weeks, the alliance grew. The Marak, reptilian beings with incredible engineering skills. The Voss, insectoid creatures who could communicate across vast distances using quantum entanglement. The Nor, who could manipulate gravitational fields with their minds. Species after species, all with abilities the Korath had exploited, now turned those same abilities toward liberation. Captain Yuna stood before representatives of 17 different species aboard the Vengeance. Each had suffered centuries or millennia of Korath domination. "We didn't just survive," she told them, her voice filled with emotion. "We evolved, we prepared, and now we've returned to break the chains the Korath have placed on this galaxy." Voss representative clicked its mandibles together. "The Korath call your kind the Purged. They believe you exist only in history." "Let them believe that," Yuna replied, "until it's too late." Across a dozen star systems, the plans were set in motion. The Lith telepathic network carried coded messages. The Marak engineers sabotaged key Korath facilities. The Voss intercepted and altered military communications. And humans provided the weapons, tactics, and leadership that had been honed through centuries of preparation. On a predetermined day, at a precise moment, coordinated uprisings began across multiple worlds. The Korath, who had not faced serious resistance in millennia, were completely unprepared for the scale and organization of the rebellion. As reports of the uprising reached the Vengeance, Admiral June watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. 500,000 years ago, the Korath decided humanity was too dangerous to exist, he said quietly. Today, they learn why. Admiral June stood on the command deck of the Vengeance, watching as the massive quantum disruptor array aligned with the nearest Korath communications hub. The device represented the pinnacle of human technological achievement, 500,000 years of development focused into a single purpose. "All systems ready, Admiral," reported the weapons officer. "Targeting is locked." June took a deep breath. Once activated, there would be no turning back. The disruptor would send a cascading wave of quantum interference through the Korath relay network, temporarily disabling their ability to coordinate their vast military forces. "Deploy the quantum disruptors," June commanded, his voice steady. The weapon fired silently, invisible to the naked eye. On the tactical displays, however, the effect was immediate and dramatic. Throughout Korath space, communication relays began to fail. Military vessels lost contact with command centers. Automated defense systems switched to local control protocols. That had not been used in millennia. "Disruption successful," Commander Minji announced. "Korath communications network is down. Estimated recovery time, 6 hours." June nodded. "Signal the Alliance. Phase 2 begins now." Across 23 star systems, the carefully planned rebellion erupted into open warfare. The liberated species, armed with human weapons and tactics, rose against their Korath oppressors. Each brought their unique abilities to the fight. The Lith used their telepathy to confuse Korath troops, making them see enemies where none existed. The Marak, with their superior engineering skills, disabled Korath war machines from within. The Voss, masters of quantum entanglement, redirected Korath targeting systems to fire on their own ships. And, at the heart of it all, human vessels appeared suddenly in Korath space, their advanced technology cutting through defenses designed to stop enemies the Korath understood, not the evolved humans they had thought extinct. On the bridge of the E. Vengeance Admiral June received updates from across the front. "The Nor have taken control of the mining colony in the Vexus system," reported a communications officer. "The Korath garrison has surrendered." "The shipyards at Kataris Prime are under Alliance control," added another. Korath reinforcements were intercepted by the Marak defense fleet. Victory after victory came in, but June remained cautious. The Korath Empire had ruled for hundreds of thousands of years. They would not fall in a single day. His caution proved warranted when a priority message came through. "Admiral," Commander Minji said urgently, "we are receiving a transmission from the Korath Emperor himself. He's requesting to speak with the human commander." The bridge fell silent. After a moment, June nodded. "Put him through." The main view screen flickered to life, revealing Emperor Vorax of the Korath Imperium. Taller than the average Korath, with skin so dark it appeared almost black, and 6 eyes instead of the usual 4, a genetic marker of the imperial bloodline. "So," the Emperor said, his voice surprisingly soft, "the legends were true. Humanity survived." "We did more than survive," June replied. "We evolved, we prepared, we returned." Emperor Vorax studied the human admiral. "Your attack is impressive but futile. The Korath Imperium spans 1,000 worlds. You have taken barely 24. When our communications network resets, our full military might will crush your rebellion." "Perhaps," June acknowledged. "But consider this. We remained hidden for 500,000 years, developing technologies your scientists cannot comprehend. Do you truly believe this is our only surprise?" For the first time, uncertainty flickered across the Emperor's face. "What do you want?" "Recognition of human sovereignty," Commander Minji interjected. "Immediate independence for all enslaved species. Reparations for Earth's destruction." The Emperor was silent for a long moment. Then, "I am prepared to discuss terms. I will send an envoy to coordinates of your choosing." The transmission ended, and the bridge erupted in debate. Was this a genuine offer or a trap? Should they negotiate or press their advantage? The meeting took place on a neutral space station at the edge of contested territory. Commander Minji led the human delegation, accompanied by representatives from the allied species. The Korath sent High Chancellor Drex, second only to the Emperor himself. The negotiations began cordially enough, with each side laying out their demands and counteroffers. But everything changed when Minji revealed their final term. "We have recovered Earth's location data from your archives," she stated. "With our terraforming technology, we plan to restore our homeworld." Chancellor Drex's outer skin paled. "Impossible. Earth was completely destroyed." "Not completely," Minji countered. "Enough remains for us to rebuild. It will take centuries, but humans are patient." The Korath delegation requested a recess. When they returned, their demeanor had changed entirely. Chancellor Drex made one final offer: the immediate cessation of hostilities if the humans would abandon their plans to restore Earth. Minji was suspicious. "Why does this concern you so greatly?" Instead of answering, Drex signaled to his guards. Hidden weapons were drawn. The negotiations had been a ruse all along, a trap to eliminate the human leadership, but the humans had anticipated this possibility. Defense shields activated automatically, protecting Minji and the allied representatives. Security teams materialized from hidden transport pads. As the firefight erupted, Minji looked Chancellor Drex in the eyes. "I just confirmed what we already knew," she said coldly. "Coexistence with those who celebrate genocide is impossible." The final battle unfolded where it all began, Earth's solar system. After the failed peace talks, the Korath had gathered, their remaining forces in a desperate last stand among the scattered remnants of humanity's birthplace. Their massive warships formed a defensive sphere around what remained of Earth, little more than a field of debris and cosmic dust that still orbited the ancient sun. Admiral June stood on the bridge of the Vengeance, surveying the tactical display. The human fleet, now joined by ships from 24 liberated species, moved into formation. This was the moment 500,000 years in the making. "All ships report ready, Admiral," Commander Minji announced, her voice steady, despite the weight of the moment. June nodded, his eyes fixed on the distant speck that had once been Earth. "Begin the approach. Deploy all squadrons according to the battle plan." The Alliance fleet surged forward. The Korath opened fire immediately, energy weapons and missile systems blazing across the void. Human shields, developed over centuries of preparation, held strong against the assault. "They're using predictable attack patterns," observed the tactical officer. "Exactly as our simulations predicted." June allowed himself a small smile. The Korath military had indeed grown complacent, relying on overwhelming force rather than tactical innovation. The human-led alliance had studied their methods for generations and developed specific countermeasures for each one. The smaller, faster ships of the Marek darted between the massive Korath cruisers, their advanced weapons targeting propulsion systems. The Lith telepaths created confusion among Korath crews, causing miscommunications and delays. The Voss quantum technology disrupted targeting systems, and at the center of it all, human ships executed maneuvers that the Korath computers couldn't predict. Tactics developed in isolation, untainted by the rigid thinking that dominated this section of the galaxy. Emperor Vorax's flagship has been identified, reported the Censor's officer. It's at the heart of their formation, surrounded by 3 layers of defensive vessels. June's expression hardened. Prepare my shuttle. Commander Minji, you have command. Of the fleet, Minji looked alarmed. Admiral, you can't mean to board the Emperor's vessel personally. This began with humans, June replied, checking his sidearm. It should end with humans, face to face. A small team of elite soldiers accompanied Admiral June on the specially designed assault shuttle. Using technology that bent light around its hull, the vessel slipped through gaps in the Korath formation, approaching the Emperor's flagship undetected. They docked using a forced entry protocol at an emergency airlock. Within minutes, June and his team were moving through the massive Korath vessel, encountering surprisingly little resistance. They never expected anyone to get this close, noted Lieutenant Quan, the team's security expert. Their internal defenses are minimal. They reached the command center to find Emperor Vorax waiting for them. Unlike his soldiers, the Emperor showed no fear as the humans entered with weapons drawn. He stood tall, his 6 eyes regarding June with what appeared to be curiosity. So you are the ones, Vorax said. The descendants of those my ancestors sought to erase from history. We are, June confirmed, holstering his weapon and stepping forward. I am Admiral June of the Human Alliance. The Emperor gestured to the view screen showing the battle outside. The Korath fleet was being systematically dismantled by the Alliance forces. You have won. What happens now? Do you destroy our homeworld as we destroyed yours? Complete the cycle of vengeance? June studied the ancient being before him. According to their intelligence, Emperor Vorax was over 3,000 years old, having ruled the Imperium for most of that time. No, June said finally. That was your way. We've learned better. Outside, the battle was ending. The remaining Korath vessels were powering down their weapons, surrendering to the Alliance fleet. On the Emperor's flagship, June activated his communicator. This is Admiral June. Begin Phase Omega. Through the view screen, they watched as hundreds of small craft emerged from the human fleet. These weren't weapons platforms or attack vessels. They were terraforming drones, designed to begin the painstaking process of gathering Earth's scattered remains. What are you doing? Emperor Vorax asked, his voice betraying confusion for the first time. We are not destroying, June explained. We are creating, rebuilding what was lost. It will take centuries, perhaps millennia, but Earth will live again. The Emperor watched in silence as the drones began their work, gathering particles and plotting gravitational patterns. June could see the alien struggling to comprehend a response so contrary to his own species' philosophy. Back on the Vengeance, June stood on the observation deck, watching as the first significant mass of Earth's remains was gathered together by the terraforming drones. So across the galaxy, former Korath subject worlds were declaring their independence, joining the new Galactic Federation founded on principles of cooperation rather than domination. Commander Minji joined him, watching the slow dance of creation happening before them. 500,000 years of waiting, she said quietly. Was it worth it? June smiled as a small green indicator appeared on his display, the first sign that organic material had been detected in the gathered mass. The first step toward life returning to humanity's original home. We didn't just get revenge, he replied. We got something better. We got a future.